G'day and howdy. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this silver and turquoise pendant. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel, DR Jewellery Designs, or Dr. Jewelry. Let me know what you think of this video by giving feedback in the comment sections down below. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Okay, we've got some sterling silver sheets, probably about 0.7 of a millimeter thick, and I'm just making a roughly 40 mil diameter circle. And I like to cut these out with my little solder snips. I find it much easier doing it this way than using a saw. That's not too bad, and all we got to do is just touch it up a little bit with a file, just to knock off that little burr. And if there's any little high spots, sort of level them out. And I always move my file in the arc of the circle. Now I'm marking out absolute center of the circle. Because I need to find exact location for where I'm going to put the bezel for a oval turquoise stone. So you can see this little appendix chart that I got out of one of my jewelry books. Now there's a little tip for when you're trying to make a bezel and to get in the exact length. Just a bit of wire to wrap around the stone that you're going to put in the bezel, and then you just lay it out onto your bezel wire so you can get it down to the exact millimeter, because the better the fit, the easier it is to set the stone, as you'll see a bit later in the video. And I like using my little snips to cut that. And just use your fingers to bend that bezel wire around the stone. And you can see they just fit together. And I just getting them ready for soldering. I'll be using a medium solder, medium flow. I actually like to put a bit of flux on my solder as well as the object I'm soldering on. As you can see, I have the location marked out for where the bezel goes, so I can stamp up to it. But before I do that, I am going to do my hall marking. Oops, don't tell anybody, but I actually put the hall marks on the wrong side. This is roughly the layout of how I see the stamping going on this before I dome it. Before I even do any of that, I will drill a small hole for where the bail will go. Now I can bang in some straight lines. This helps with the spacing of when you put the circles in. So initially I put it down to quads and now eighths. So that circle is divided up into 8 sections with straight lines. And then I can find a size circle that would fit in there. So the spacing is accurate and well balanced. So obviously I've sped this up to save time. So I don't do it this fast. This is probably at double speed. All right, I'll speed it up even more. And we're down to the smallest of the circles because I used 3 different size circle stamps. Adds a fair bit of interest. Quite a good design when you change it up a bit. Use different sizes of the same shape. Just making sure that you don't get too close to where that bezel is going to be soldered on. Now I'm putting some small little straight lines in between the outer ring of circles. Now it's time to anneal. Got to soften that metal up before you can dome the thing. So as you can see, it's kind of turns white powdery. I actually put it in isopropyl alcohol and boracic acid as a fire scale preventative. Try to use a bit of a softer flame, not too much oxygen. And you do need a little bit of shade so you can actually see. Oh, love that sound. That sound of hot metal going in water. So you just got to chuck it in the water when it's still just red. I'm making the bail. I definitely like using my snips for cutting thinner metal. Just going to put a bit of decoration so it ties in well with the design on the domed part of the pendant. I like to be a bit careful when whatever tools I'm using, just to make sure that I don't create more work for myself by marring the surface. Now the fun part comes. I get to do the doming. This is a shallow dome, so that little wooden block works well for a shallow dome, and they're not that expensive. So because I put in some straight lines around the edge, it starts to crease easily. So it takes a bit of extra hammering to tidy up the outer edge. I think I might anneal it again and work on that outer edge just a bit more. So this part here is probably the most laborious and lengthy of the processes in making this pendant. It's getting that bezel to fit neatly on top of that that domed surface by filing it. I've probably spent 30 minutes filing and fitting. So it gives a really nice tight solder seam. As you can see, I use binding wire to hold it in position. If it was completely flat, I'd probably not use the binding wire, but because it's on a domed surface, and it would move off, and I needed to stay put. It's always good to use a decent silver soldering flux, and I am now using some easy solder because I don't want to separate solder on the bezel when I attach the bezel to the pendant base. I just like to pre-warm the piece well before I even put the solder in place. Making sure you take your time in applying the heat, because you actually want the solder to flow around the whole ring, so you really need to make sure that heat is around the whole object. Now it's just flowing quite nicely. Took a fair long time to get the heat to it. After a bit of a pre-polish, especially around where I drilled the hole to put the bail through, now I'm going to use extra easy solder on that little bit of the section where the bail touches itself, and making sure that you don't solder the bail to the pendant. After it's all done, I like to chuck it in the stainless steel shot, tumble it for about half an hour, just brightens it up and work hardens it. Then I do a polish. I use brown triple E and a tightly stitched muslin polishing wheel. Now it's time to darken, give it a patina to this pendant, which I'm doing a style that's similar to the Navajo stamping technique. So I'm painting on some liver of sulfur, getting it down in the lower sections or the depressions of the stamp, because I want to leave that black and then polish off all the surface to return back to a nice shiny silver surface. Just the depressions be left black. So this one you actually need to rinse it off and scrub it with a brush, just to knock off any flaky bits, and then you could actually darken it again and then come back and do this polishing. I like using a hard felt in my flex shaft, so I have complete control over the areas that I polish. Sometimes that liver of sulfur really is, takes a bit of time to polish off. And then a very quick bath in the ultrasonic cleaner. Now comes the fun part, setting the stone. That's the sound you want to hear. Do it again. Yes, I love it. Nice and tight fit. Well before you even put any tools to it. Just a bezel roller. Just roll it around and just take up any of the major gaps. Then you finish up with a hammer handpiece. I do admit that a hammer handpiece is one of my favorite tools. I'm just working that top edge where that silver touches the stone, just to knock it in evenly, and it kind of burnishes as you go. Now, just need to polish it up, but before you just do a really light sort of tidy up with the silicone disc. Because we've pre-polished, just need to work on the areas that you touched when you're setting the stone. Now, just the final polish. I find that doing a really good polish makes all the difference in the world. So this is the finished piece. It's got a really good polish, highly reflective mirror surface. Thanks for watching.